the Raiders could possibly draft the #1 running back in this year's class. The newest members of the Silver and Black addressed the media for the very first time, and the Raiders are interested in adding another veteran linebacker. Yo, what is up, Raider Nation? It's your boy Simone Raider back at it again with yet another video. If this is the very first time you guys are coming across this channel and you love daily Raider content, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button to notify you guys when we upload more videos just like this. We are on the verge of 50K subscribers, so definitely hit that subscribe button. With that being said though, let's not waste any time and let's talk about the first thing I want to kind of talk about today. I know that free agency has started to slow down, especially for the Raiders, and I know a lot of Raider fans are kind of out here like, what are we doing? Go sign somebody. We need more help. Help us.
Help me. Help me.
But we're not going to wait on that because we got some reports that I want to talk about today. First thing being Ashton Jeanty. According to Jordan Schultz, he broke news yesterday saying that there's a contingent of Ashton Jeanty supporters within the Raiders organization, and there's a possibility that the Raiders could pick him at number 6. Now, I've been all over Raiders Twitter, Raiders social media, and there's been a plethora of Raider fans wanting Ashton Jeanty at number 6. And you know what? I don't think that that would be too bad of a pick for the Raiders because we know the need that we have at the running back position. Right now, it's not really looking too good. I know we recently signed Raheem Mostert yesterday, but we're not expecting him to be the #1 running back. If anything, he provides some solid depth to the running back room. But the Raiders right now have Zamir White, who they most likely will be letting go or trying to trade away for something, anything. Then you got Dylan Laube and Sincere McCormick. Of course, the draft is going to be where the Raiders definitely need to address that position. Do I want to get Ashton Jeanty with the number 6 overall pick? No. I've said it a lot of times before. I've talked about it a lot. It's not that I don't like Ashton Jeanty. It's not that I don't think that Ashton Jeanty is a solid running back and could be a star in the NFL, but this class is filled with so much depth at that position. You could get a guy later on in the draft, later on in the first round, get one in the second or third round. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, man. I know Omarion Hampton is the second best running back and he's going to be a great running back in the league, but he's going to be out of reach for the Raiders because he most likely will be picked in the first round, and the Raiders don't have a pick until number 37. So I'm looking at guys like Travion Henderson, who has been one of my favorite running backs in this year's class, over a guy like Quinshon Judkins, who I wouldn't mind getting as well. Then you got a guy that you could get later on in the draft, and Devin Neal. He's not getting a lot of love out there, but when you look at the tape, you put on tape, Devin Neal could be a starting running back. He reminds me so much of Dalvin Cook coming out of college. Then you got guys like Cam Scatterbo, you got guys like Dylan Sampson. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, heck, Caleb Johnson. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm okay on passing on Ashton Jeanty, because this year's draft class is just filled with so much running backs that you could fill in and could end up developing to being starting running backs in the league. If it were entirely up to me and I was the one picking, especially if we're trying to go on the offensive side of the ball, outside of the quarterback position, because if Shedeur Sanders is there, I'm running to the podium and I'm drafting him. But T-Mac is definitely my #1 offensive weapon for the Raiders, because looking at the wide receiver depth in the draft, yes, there's a lot of solid wide receivers, but nobody at the level of Tetairoa McMillan or even close to it. And it just blows my mind that I've seen so many people on social media kind of bashing T-Mac and thinking that he's an overrated pick at number 6. I mean, you're getting a #1 wide receiver. We haven't addressed the wide receiver room at all. I know that we could still go get some free agents out there, and heck, Cooper Kupp has been a name that's been floating around, and I'm okay not getting him. I mean, now there's reports that he wants upwards of what, $14 to $15 million per year. And yeah, you can definitely go somewhere else with that type of money. But the Raiders getting a #1 wide receiver, and if you get a guy like T-Mac, who I think has all the traits to being a #1 wide receiver in the league, has all the traits to becoming a Mike Evans. Heck, you look at Drake London being drafted to the Falcons, somewhat of a similar build. Yes, there's other wide receivers in this year's draft, but I don't think anybody as close to T-Mac as, you know, Omarion Hampton or Travion Henderson is to a guy like Ashton Jeanty. For me, I just imagine adding more receiving weapons for a guy like Geno Smith. Looking at our offensive line, I don't think is that bad, and we can still address the offensive line in this year's draft. Heck, if we go offensive line in the first round, I wouldn't like it, but I think that would be much more of a priority over the running back position. But just think of having these receiving weapons like Nalo paired up with Jacoby Myers. You have Trey Tucker still, as well as Brock Bowers. I think we would be set. on top of that, I feel like the Raiders could also add another veteran wide receiver in this year's free agency. I know there's not a lot of options out there, whether they want to go and sign Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, or even Tyler Lockett. I'd be fine with that for the right price, of course. Then you could still go get a quality running back in this year's draft later on at a great value. I think this offense will be great going into 2025. Again, like I said before, I wouldn't be entirely mad if the Raiders went out and got Ashton Jeanty, but it just wouldn't be my number one option. But it just kind of sounds to me that the Raiders right now are just trying to drive up, the value of the number 6 overall pick. And if there's a team that wants to move up and get a guy like Ashton Jeanty, then you're going to have to pay the price to get him. I know that the Bears and even the Cowboys are two teams that could be eyeing a number 1 running back. And if the Raiders can at least draw some interest, maybe one of those teams would want to move up. And if we move back, there's a lot of options, whether we get T-Mac, whether we go out and get another running back like Omari and Hampton, or just address the offensive line. If we move back in the draft, I'd be fine with that and add more picks to this year's class. But what do you guys think, Raider Nation? Would you draft Ashton Jeanty with the 6th overall pick if you were the Raiders? Or do you feel like that's a little bit too rich at that pick? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But moving on, of course, we know that the Raiders have lost a plethora of defensive players on this team. And one player that I really wanted to come back to the Raiders that will not be coming back to Las Vegas is K'Lavon Chaisson. Because yesterday, Ian Rappaport reported that the Patriots are adding again on defense, signing Raiders edge rusher K'Lavon Chaisson to a 1-year, $5 million deal. The former first rounder came on strong in Las Vegas. And yet again, the Patriots, man, still in yet another solid Raiders defensive piece, man. I don't know what it is with them, but I guess they really want to be like the Raiders. No, I'm just joking with you guys. In all seriousness, though, when I seen this, I was like, damn, man, this really sucks. The Raiders couldn't pay him $5 million, heck, $6 million if you wanted to bring him back over here to Las Vegas. But then I seen a lot of people talking about it, seen a lot of people like writing about it, and it made a lot more sense. Why would K'Lavon Chaisson come to the Raiders to be the 4th edge rusher on the defensive side of the ball? Why would he come over here to be a rotational piece if he can go to the Patriots and be a starter week 1? Which makes a lot more sense. If K'Lavon Chaisson wants to do that, then that's good for him. He made the most of his opportunity over here in Las Vegas. It just sucks that we don't have him. I would have loved to have him just to be a rotational piece with Malcolm Kuntz over here and all the, Tyree Wilson, all these defensive players, just to build up the defensive line that much more. But I think the writing was already on the wall when Malcolm Kuntz re-signed with the Raiders, because I think he knew that he wasn't going to get a lot of play time over here. But it is what it is. But I'm not too worried about it because, like I said, we still got Malcolm Kuntz. Ironically enough, though, the Patriots signed yet another former Raiders defender. According to Tom Pelissero, just today, former Las Vegas Raiders safety Marcus Epps is signing with the New England Patriots on a 1-year, $4.4 million deal. Really? First, it was the Las Vegas Patriots because we were trying to be like the Patriots, and now it's the New England Raiders. What's up with that? In all seriousness, though, man, wishing nothing but the best for Marcus Epps. And as for the Raiders, we definitely need to address the safety position and free agency a little bit more, or go into the NFL draft and draft somebody somewhere, because the depth at the safety room is a little bit thin right now. Outside of that, though, the Raiders finally got to hear from their newest signees in free agency. Now, there was a press conference that went on yesterday, and we got to hear from Elandon Roberts, Eric Stokes, Jeremy Chin, and even Lonnie Johnson Jr., 4 defensive key pieces that will be added to the defensive side of the ball, and hopefully can help turn the defense around. But after listening to the press conference and hearing every single one of them, man, it makes me even more excited about the signings, because you got a lot of really good people that are joining the Raiders, a lot of people that are hungry, that has that chip on their shoulder. And if there's anybody that I feel like can coach them up right and bring the best out of them, I think it definitely is Pete Carroll. And you could tell that a lot of them have a lot of respect for Pete Carroll. Heck, Elandon Roberts even talked about his impressions on Pete Carroll and talked about the energy that he brought when he first met him.
I think, man, one thing about Pete, man, I think he has a big personality, not just as a football coach, but as a person. And it was exciting meeting him. It was exciting talking to him when I was able to talk to him Wednesday. But just meeting him, feeling his energy, feeling his personality, you know that it's genuine. You're never going to hear anything negative about Pete Carroll, and stuff like that.
And one thing that really won me over with Elandon Roberts, I know he was already one of my favorite signings that we had recently, especially for the value that we got him for, and the fact that he's going to be helping out a position of need at the linebacker position. But it's the fact that he came in, he was asked, and he talked about being excited about playing with the players on the team and highlighting everybody, not just one player like Max Crosby.
It's just exciting to be a part of the organization, to be honest with you. Be able to get around all these guys and work with him. Because one thing I do know is I can get up here and be like, man, it's gonna be very exciting to work with Max. Like that's a shoe in. But what about the guy that may the role player that may be just making the play that we need to win the game? You know what I'm saying? Maybe a guy that that you guys don't depend on, that you guys might not, you know what I'm saying, highlight, but that we know what they do day in and day out, that now they get their opportunity to show who they are as not just their name, but who they are for the Raiders. That's why I'd be excited to just not work with the big names, but everyone in the building, because everyone has a role, and it takes all them roles to win a championship.
Now, that's definitely somebody that you would love to play for or have play for you, and I can see wearing the green dot sometime in the future. He's not about the big names, but he's about everybody that plays a critical role in this team and helping turn this team around. Now, another player that we kind of got to hear from was Jeremy Chin, and you could tell that he was a stand-up guy. He talked about how excited he was to play with Max Crosby.
I was able to talk to Max a couple of days ago, but I mean, when you watch him, you know, I've been a fan of his game for a while now, and he shows up every snap, every down. So, I mean, that's exciting to play behind. It's only going to make everybody else better. So, you know, on the back end, I'm excited to match that energy.
Now, another player that I do want to highlight is Lonnie Johnson Jr. He's definitely a guy that is excited to come over here and give it his all. He's a guy that has a chip on his shoulder and is looking for a home, and hopefully that's with this team and the Raiders. And one thing's for sure, he's going to make the most of his opportunities here in Las Vegas.
It's been stressful if we really being honest about it. Like I said, I got some coaches here that believe in me. They want to see what I can do and give me an opportunity to work my way back onto defense and showing what I can do defensively, whether that's at nickel, corner, safety again, bouncing around like that. And part of it was my fault because I asked for the trade out of Houston, and I think it trickled down from there. So I was thinking something was going to happen that didn't happen. And it was a learning mistake, and I'm still learning from it, but now I'm ready to go, and hopefully that I can just make this home and just finish my career here. I'm super eager and, like, I'm hungry. And I feel like my contract shows that. You know, I'm not the highest paid guy. I'm probably one of the lowest paid on the team right now. So my contract shows that, and I'm here just to show what I can do, what I can bring to the table, and then, like, let them make the decision when they finish. I'm just humbled to be here in that position. Been playing special teams the past few years, and I'm not going to just throw that away or be shy from that. I'm going to continue to do that at a high level. And then when they give me my opportunity to play defense, I'm going to capitalize this time for sure.
I'm excited to see these guys play in the silver and black, and I feel like we are slowly turning the culture around here in Las Vegas. But one player I do want to highlight that the Raiders could possibly bring over here to Las Vegas, this is according to a source that is really close to the player I'm going to talk about, kind of told me that the Raiders showed interest and reached out to him, but it's up to him whether or not he wants to sign with the Raiders. That player being linebacker Shaq Thompson. I'm not going to act like I got all the sources in the world, but I do know some people, though. With that being said, would Shaq Thompson be a solid move for the Raiders? I think so. He would provide some depth at a position that we do desperately need. I know we recently signed Landon Roberts, but the Raiders can also use more players at the linebacker position. Thompson is a proven leader and productive player on the field when healthy. Keywords: when healthy. I know that he's been dealing with his fair share of injuries over the past couple of years, and he recently suffered a broken fibula and torn ACL, limiting him to 6 games over the past 2 seasons. He has missed a total of 40 games over his 10-year career, but when he was available and on the field, he's recorded 752 tackles, 12 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions over 123 games during his career. I believe that Shaq Thompson would be an easy fit in Pete Carroll's system. And if he's healthy and he's ready to go in 2025, I think he would be an ideal player to add to this team, especially to the defensive side of the ball. And knowing his injury history, I think the Raiders could get him at a good deal. And knowing that the Raiders have signed a lot of value deals throughout all of free agency, I think this will make a lot of sense. Now, of course, this would be somewhat of a high risk, high reward for the Raiders, but if we can get the best out of him and he's able to stay on the field, I think the Raiders would have a solid linebacker core, adding Landon Roberts and Shaq Thompson, and we could still go in the draft and add more depth at that position. But with that said, what are your thoughts on Shaq Thompson, Raider Nation? Would you guys be interested in bringing him over here to Las Vegas, or do you feel like with his injury history, the Raiders should pass on him? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next video, though, Raider Nation, this is your boy Small Raider, and your boy is Yow.